first, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's an honor to come back again to Bangkok, as it's an amazing city where a lot of adoption in the area of blockchain has been taking over the last few years. Today, the topic that we'll be covering is actually three of them, but they actually are interrelated. Is the topic of Metaverse, the topic of Web 3.0, and the topic of NFTs. They do not compete with each other, they actually complement each other. So what I would like to first ask is each of the panel members to introduce themselves and just give about 1 or 2 or 3 minutes. A little bit about myself. I've been in technology for about 35, 36 years, 22 in cybersecurity, and blockchain a little bit over 7 years now. And we focus a lot on building community across Middle East, Asia, and Africa as well. So please.
Hi everyone, this is Han from KuCoin Labs. So I'm currently the lead fund manager and also responsible for the upcoming incubation program as well.
Yeah, hi, I'm Sanjay. I'm the CEO of Cryptomind Advisory and the co-founder of Cryptomind Group, as well as the advisor to the Thai Digital Asset Association. So, been into the crypto space since 2016-17. So, mainly we grow and build in Thailand and have some incubation arm as well via Cryptomind Labs as well. Yeah.
Hi, my name is CARNEY. I head the Fintech investment for FXHB, a boutique family office. We started investing in crypto since, I personally invested in 2017, but the family office started investing in a lot of layer 1, layer 2 blockchain and also Metaverse project since the early 2019. And that's where we got some knowledge that we write on from an institutional standpoint.
Hello, my name is CRIS and I'm from Vietnam. It's so good to see old friends like Sanjay and George after a few years away from Bangkok. So right now I'm working for ONUS Chain, which is a spin-out layer 2 from ONUS ecosystem from Vietnam. We have around 3.5 million users with around 300,000 daily active users. So if your project would like to have access into an insane market like Vietnam, please talk to me. And we would love to be here to share more about experience about Web3 and Metaverse development in Vietnam and other countries as well.
Okay, we have quite a lot of important topics to address. How does these new technologies combine together, whether it's the Metaverse, Web 3.0 or NFTs, are affecting the way we live, the way we work, the way we play? I think we had a few presentations before about play to earn, and definitely quite a lot of coverage in that area. But I would like the various panelists here to cover some of these topics. Obviously, being in technology for a long time, we always forget that the most important factor in any usage of technology is always the end user. So I don't think we can expect the average user to go around with necessarily goggles around 24 hours a day. So I think between one level of technology and another, I think there has to be a middle ground that is actually practical and usable. And I think another important aspect is if we look about today's Web 3.0 wallets like MetaMask, etc., we find that it's not necessarily very easily usable by the average user. And what I'm talking about, the average user might be the people that are serving us here at this hotel. Can they use this technology? So I would like Anne to maybe start to give her perspective on these three topics.
Sure. So actually, because I just mentioned, right, and I'm responsible for our upcoming incubation program, and actually the first thing we are going to do is about Metaverse, NFT, and gaming. So I'm quite excited. So for me, I think Metaverse as a concept, I think there is no universal concept. So everyone has their own definition, but for me, and I think it is the, how should I say, a bridge or a tool which I can imagine, which will help me to achieve the type of state I want related to my work, my life, and my leisure. So how should I say? So KuCoin actually, KuCoin Labs last year we launched a 100 million Metaverse fund, and Blocktopia is one of our portfolio. And we recently also invested a project called Lifeform, which was backed by PANELISTS Labs as the seed stage. So just to give you some color about why we would like to invest this type of project. So as Joe, you said, right, at MetaMask, you have to remember a lot of the work, right? So it's very difficult for normal people to really get the access to the type of, metaverse, so-called metaverse you want to create. So Lifeform actually is a 3D, avatar coding project, which allows you to make your own avatar, which we call it decentralized ID as well, and which was actually backed by the wallet as well. So it allows you to play and also to do a proper professional team meeting, where there is a camera which can capture your face, and I tried it. It's really, really smooth. So what I want to say is, obviously, I think there are some obstacles recently, and a lot of people think, okay, Metaverse is just about the XR or something, but I think those are all like the fundamental technology to help us to transform or live in the state which we want. So for example, now, pandemic has changed the way we behave. Like now, I haven't been to the office, to be honest, for 3 years. And I enjoy it, and most of the time I just put on pajama for a meeting, but to be honest, it's not very professional, right? So I need to rely on some project like Lifeform, which allows me to have my preferable avatar, and I can do a proper meeting with my project or part of the VC. So that's how I feel about it. I think it's still at a very infant stage. But I'm very looking forward to it. That's why our first incubation thing is about the Metaverse.
Sanjay.
Yeah. So what was the exact question again?
Okay, we have Metaverse, Web 3.0, NFT. How do you see it affecting the way we live, the way we work, and the way we play? From your perspective, of course.
Yeah, from my perspective, actually, I think we're still in the very early stage for all these technologies to be on board by the masses, right? For example, Metaverse has been talked about as a buzzword last year, right? When Mark announced that he planned to do a Metaverse, rebranding Facebook and use Meta name, right? So we see a lot of corporate riding that hype as well. I think from us personally, right, we work with a couple of corporate before and try to guide them into the Metaverse as well and what value proposition they can create. But at this time, I can say that most of the time, right, the monetization value is so low right now that people are going in, but they still don't know how to monetize it and how normal people or user can do anything on that or not. So right now, we are seeing Metaverse in a different form. I think from a lot of different people also have different vision of the Metaverse. So it's very different interpretation and outcome as well. So we see a lot of brand, corporate or company or Web3 project try to build their own Metaverse. Another group of companies that they want to build on top of current Metaverse that are there, right? But the problem for both sides that I'm seeing still is that in the Web3 world especially, right? There are not much user in these metaverses, so I'm going to play a bit of devil advocate here. If you're building all this stuff but there's no user, right? What's the point of building all this stuff as well?
Yeah, actually, if you read the press, there's recently an article in which Europe created, European Union, a metaverse where they spent quite a lot of money.
$400,000 US.
And only 6 people show up.
4 people show up.
Or 6, yes.
Yeah, we can do this kind of event in real life, and I think more than 100 to 300 people are showing up, right? If we want to spend $400,000, around 12 million baht in Thailand, you can host a decent event without relying on Metaverse, right? So I think we're still very new, and I think everybody's still trying to figure out. But also you see a lot of examples as well, right? From the new consumer behavior, from the new generation coming up. They're using platforms like Roblox, more than 40 million people on it. Fortnite, tens of million people on it. They organize a concert more than 20 million people are watching that concert, for example, Travis Scott concert. So I think like these are the platforms that are already have with the existing user, right? But in the Web3 side, we not much user there, right? Even with Sandbox, I mean, they are slowly building, but also Alpha Season 3, Season 4, or even the latest one is like 5,000 or 10,000 users using the platform, right? So it's still very new, and people are still trying to get the immense concept of it and try to figure things out as well. So I think for people who try to build their own verse, it's very hard to acquire the user on the platform as well, right? Because it's not truly like user-generated content, and you need people to like accumulate and build everything and go hand in hand with each other. On the other hand, I think like NFT, I think is one of the recent like I think interesting case study for me, because I think like with a lot of big global brands, right, they start to be able to monetize on the NFT collection or NFT revenue that they're generating. For example, like Nike did Artifact, like it took over the Artifact studio. I actually have the hoodie myself. Generate $100 million from the Nike brand, right? And then having all these like Nike shoes, airdrop jacket, shirt, and those can be used on your character and the avatar that you have as well. Right? So that might be an extension of the brand, and it could create kind of like an online, offline experience as well for both the user or the customer, client using it. So I think like NFT is more nearer to us, but I think Metaverse is still like a bit far-fetched away at this moment in time.
CARNEY, since you deal a lot with investments and so on.
Okay, so I have a very defined idea about Metaverse, and I agree to both of the speakers' point of view. Okay, to me, Metaverse is not just a play-to-earn game. Metaverse is not just a land and sandbox. It's actually a convergence between our physical and virtual world, which allows us to unite it without fragmentation, and we can play, we can earn, we can relax, we can communicate inside. Today's physical and virtual world are very fragmented. You can have one identity in the physical world, and in your virtual world, you can be, a pop star, superstar with NFTs. So it's totally different. So I think there's a conversion to it. Okay, so right now in today's market, we are actually in pockets of nano metaverse that we are not of. Like in our phone, we have more than 50 apps. We are just trapped in their metaverse, but those metaverse are very centralized. So in today's context, we live in Facebook world by Facebook rules. Facebook can impose a 30% on NFTs, we take it. If we do something wrong on Facebook world, we get suspended and stuff like that. So we live in those kind of rules. So what I like to see in the new Web3, which is powered by NFT, is more of a community market, community-driven kind of initiative whereby virtual reality, ownership, and data can be brought to another level. And this means that, like the Web2 side, we're not just relying on data exploration or they just sell our data. It's a whole new level where we can do more. And this is a whole new business concept. And I agree to your Sanjay's point. Okay, Metaverse. I think that there's so much out there, but what makes me want to stay in that Metaverse is the same thing as those days where we had, I don't know how many of you tried it, we had Friendster. What made us move to Facebook? And what made us from Facebook move to Instagram, and likewise from Instagram to TikTok? And once we move, how do they keep us engaged? And the community plays a part. We went in because our friends are in, we went in because the features are in. That has to be strong. And I believe the use case will get stronger and stronger. Okay? To another point, we can have a lot of metaverse. We have so many pocket metaverse out there in our phone, so we can cope with it. It's just how do you attract our attention to spend at least 15 minutes on your metaverse on a daily basis, like what we do on Facebook or Instagram. Okay, so that's part. NFT space I add on. I think NFT has so many use cases that is really undefined. It can help to create provenance. It can help to create, creators market. It's crazy. So everyone is trying to dive into that space, and to understand that, right? That's why, I agree to Sanjay's point of view. The more the use case, the more people see it, and this is where, we love it. Okay. To end up, this is more like for example, Cristiano Ronaldo. I can have a shirt by him, sign on by him. It can cost $1,000, but it means nothing because it's just a shirt by him. I can sell it. But if I hold his NFT and he lands in Bangkok, NFT holders can get to meet him. Where is the interaction? Which is more lucrative, holding his NFT or a signed jersey by him? This is the change in dynamics when you hold NFTs. So I think it's huge. I continue to advocate for it, and I love this space a lot.
Chris?
I think I will start with what SANJAY and CARNEY left it out there on the table, and actually it's like a conversation I have with one of the project out there, belong to the pitching competition, where I talked to them about the business case, tokenizing, like real estate and shipment business into the metaverse and everything. When I share with them that we have this layer that can help you right away they come back like, actually we are developing our own layer as well. And believe it or not, this is one of the very funny way to look at the potential of the metaverse. It's not so much on the technical side of the metaverse and the layer that you're working on. It's about the business impact that your solution is changing, right? Don't tell me if you build on Solana or Polygon and everything. It doesn't mean that much if your solution do not solve certain issues or upgrade a value in certain business, right? So number one, the number one value is re-innovate. A lot of the business out there is one of the potential that I see in the metaverse. I was waiting for this point from our panelists to share, but believe it or not, Web3 and Metaverse is actually one of the better angle out there for crypto, the entire crypto market, to educate and bring awareness for mass audience to learn more about blockchain and crypto. This is a very interesting angle because depends on what you are building. Sometimes a very good Web3 project and a good Metaverse project, it doesn't have involved so much on a traditional, like crypto process that you have to set up your wallets, you have to do this, you have to do that to be able to use and experience the entire journey, right? And this is exactly what Starbucks has been doing in the US so far. I mean, you don't have to be a crypto native to step into a Web3 and Metaverse experience. You can collect your NFT there, NFT here, without knowing that actually these are, like blockchain-based product. And the last value that I can see, like from the Web3 and Metaverse point of view, especially at this, like very infant stage, is the marketing angle of every single things that you do, because people are curious. People are, to know what exactly like holding an NFT in my wallets, right? And especially nowadays, Facebook allowing you to show NFT on your page and everything. It's about a competition again. So if your brands, and this already happening in Vietnam, I'm not so sure about Thailand, maybe Sanjay can share a little bit later. In Vietnam, some of the bigger brands out there already start this journey to start having some merchandise and product being built on NFT and Metaverse. And this is not about for them to push for better sales, but to gather the interest and gather the crowd, because people are curious, people are want to learn and everything, right? So the opportunity out there for blockchain project to educate your user through the funnel of Web3 and Metaverse, and or specifically NFT actually. So that's my share.
So a few interesting interactions. One is, I think, the importance of the connection between the physical world and the virtual world, where the metaverse needs to address that in order to be successful. We are not just going to live in the virtual world, we still live in the physical one. I think we're trying to move from the Web 2 to the Web 3. The existing community is in Web 2. So maybe we should look at maybe Web 2.5 or something that brings the gap of how to bring this community slowly to Web 3.0, because people are not necessarily going to migrate automatically. And without community, things crash very fast. The last one on the NFTs, I think NFTs are probably the best tool to create community, whether that community is around luxury goods or maybe a sport like Formula One or football. So once you have a community and you have a tool around that community, NFT being a tool, or if you're an artist or a content creator, then it becomes very easy to reward or to extend that community into the virtual world, as long as you make it user-friendly. Now that brings me to the next second topics, which is about openness, safety, and accessibility. As we know, there's not today one metaverse or one Web 3.0. There's a multitude of, and not always very good standards in place. So we have to sometimes talk about multiverse, or maybe interoperability between verses, or interoperability between them. Many of the existing technologies that are existing in this world, especially Web 3.0, have been hacked, like for example the protocol bridges, where several $100 million have been lost, in the case, for example, of Axie Infinity and others. And lastly is the accessibility, which is how do we make sure that sometimes we can get the user to become NFT user, Web 3.0 user, or Metaverse user without him even realizing that is actually happening. And we make it almost semi-transparent without having to go through a lot of technology. So going back to Anne, what is your perspective on the openness, safety, and accessibility of these new technologies?
Sure. So actually, I think when I heard about it, it's very similar to the, trilemma, the blockchain, right? So for me, I think it might be difficult to ensure both like openness or safe, to be honest. So first of all, I'm like a tech guy, but I think a lot of protocols now are working to solve these issues, specifically for Metaverse and NFT. But for me, this will take a couple of like steps instead of combine them into one go. So for me, I think privacy, of course, stands out as a priority because if we are going to live in so-called metaverse and we want to immerse ourselves in the interactions with other people in this kind of like metaverse ecosystem, right? But sometimes we want to keep privacy and we don't want all our online activities be seen by other people. So how will that be realized? So I think that's important. Privacy will come as an important factor. And I know a lot of there are a lot of privacy protocols or like even blockchains trying to solve this issue. So I know Secret Network, and there is another one called Obscure, which we are incubating actually. So what they are trying to do is to create a fair environment, especially for gaming. So it's applying the trusted execution environment technology, so similar to Secret Network, but it's built on Ethereum. And there is another, regards NFT, there is another project I also want to introduce. So it's called Liquid Factory. It's also co-led and co-incubated by KuCoin Labs and Republic Capital. So it will just announce the fundraising yesterday. So what they are doing is they create a very fun way for people to purchase their NFTs and how to realize that. And so they apply Secret Network on top of the execution layer. So that will make their bids very not seen by other people. So what I want to stress is that there are, for me, I think, in order to ensure the user experience, right? And I think privacy is the backbone for the entire metaverse experience. And so regarding the accessibility, I think it will come back to the previous question where the speakers were answering. And I do think, apart from the user experience of the product, but the community is definitely very, very important. So you see, probably I'm the only person here today among all the speakers who are not using real picture, but an NFT, right? So this is an NFT, it's called a Halo, and I like it only because it's very similar to an avatar created from a game which I played 10 years ago. And but sometimes a lot of people just think it's useless, right? It's just like a picture. How about if one day this picture can be linked to an avatar or a decentralized ID in the metaverse, right? It allows you, for example, to give you some buff to play, to earn with extra, points, and it gives you other privileges for airdrop or whatever. So what I want to say is that to make it accessible, more accessible for all people, and it has to be first understood by all the people. And so it has to be linked to, for example, other like functions or features. So anyway, so I'm not so sure if I answered your question properly, but what I want to say is like privacy is important,
Yes.
and interoperability, behind MT is also important.
No, I'm glad the points that she made, because I will add a few extra. If you have time to Google, go look at something called xrsi.org, or look on Google as well for Metaverse Safety Week. So it's starting, I think, second week in December. It's a non-profit organization that has basically created a safety for Metaverse and Web 3.0. It's a framework in which you can evaluate the various technologies, including blockchain, wallets, and devices that you may actually use in the process of accessing the Metaverse, like Oculus or any others as well. Back to Sanjay, your perspectives on those three items as well.
So I think my perspective, right, like since we are in a very innovative space, right, and as we see many innovators, right, they tend to be move fast and break things, right. Sometimes they break themselves as well, right. We've seen with many things that happened in the space in the past couple of years as well. So I think in this way, right, the openness, right, especially for the Metaverse, right, I believe that we need a lot of user-generated content type as well, and or even like corporate company trying to create their own content, or even like an entertainer or sports person creating all this content to create like some sort of engagement in there, right? So I think the openness is definitely there, like, but some also like tend to go the other route as well, right? That we are seeing a lot of some big corporate are viewing this as a metaverse, as building their own metaverse and like pulling people in, right? So that's a different perspective to do and look at it, which I think is very hard to scale though in that manner. But I think for the safety and regulation wise, right, like we might see some clamp down a bit, right? Like, I mean, like how do you prove that like this avatar is real, the user in this ID is real? Are they going to be KYC at the account? Are we going to have like all these bots running around, like in Twitter? That's what's happening. They're trying to get rid of, right? Or even in the game right now, right? People are using bot or like using other people to play, and like sometimes you're not even playing with a real person, right? So, and I think there's a lot of rule and regulation yet to come out, yet to follow this, right? I mean, if you remember correctly, right, back in the day that like Uber or Grab tried to scale, right? With Airbnb as well, right? It went so big, right? Then the regulation are forced to come out. So I think we need to wait for a bit as well to Metaverse to go a bit bigger, right? And then like once it became a bit more mass, like a lot of product that people use, then I see like we'll see like real world regulation coming in and try to regulate it somehow. So I think in that way.
Well, yeah, I think the crime or problems that we have in the physical world are basically being translated into the virtual one. Just that the virtual one or digital one just accelerate things. And I think one of the best examples was when Facebook created one of their initial versions of the Metaverse. Somebody ended up getting bullied, and they have introduced the geofencing perimeter so that you can keep other avatars a few meters away. So you create a bit of virtual personal space. So
yeah, I think that is one key thing that I think a lot of people at a lot of projects are talking about as well, right? And then like as we've seen as well in a lot of DeFi space as well, right? There's a lot of rug pull scam, a lot of project breakdown, right? So I think in this space is still very new, and then people are still like figuring out what to do exactly, and how to bridge from one verse to another, or you can have one avatar that can go all the verse. Would that be possible? Or with your NFT can be interoperable with all the universe that you're using? So it's going to be like interesting to see as well in that way, I think, yeah.
CARNEY.
Okay, great. So I am one of the most regulated ones because I'm a fund manager. So I answer for every investment I make, and my job is on the line. Okay, so what I'm driving is this. So we address the first topic, which is openness and safe. It's a conflict of interest, right? So we want it to be as open as possible. You know, you can host anything in the Metaverse, but then again, is it safe? So like what you mentioned, Web 2.5 might come in. We can see this, like for example, we can have poker tournaments in the Metaverse. Ice poker, I think there was crazy topic about them hosting poker tournaments, P2P in the metaverse. But is it safe? Is it licensed in the likes of Singapore or even in Malaysia and stuff like that? It's not. So how I see it is this. Okay, to give a point on regulatory bodies, right? Is this. When I started the journey in 16, 17, you had only 4 coins, and I think one of them is just BTC, Ether, Litecoin, and XRP. There wasn't any stable coin right now. So the community was just growing like that. Then after you had your DeFi. But what really propelled the whole market or the community was the NFT in the metaverse. It grew, brought in, like Chris mentioned, brought in a new untapped group of users. So how do we protect them? And regulators are always very reactive. One part, we are still solving the FTX issue. We haven't even set up frameworks for Metaverse or NFTs, and the list goes on, because technologies are very innovative and it grows up faster than even regulatories. So back to the topic is this. I see that in future, Metaverse could be like a building. Okay, every level has different set of frameworks and rules. Maybe for example, level 1, you legalize cannabis, legalize gambling. But when you go to level 2, there's another frame of rules that they cannot bypass. And level 3, maybe some are open, some are not. So I foresee that happen. So I'm looking forward to that framework on that. Okay, so that addressed the openness and the safe. What about scalability? I think this is very important. I think from the user end, how fast, how complicated is this to download a play-to-earn game or enter a metaverse? Right now, we need to download the MetaMask wallet, stuff. Can it be as simple as just like an app store? We download the game, use Facebook to bring out our profile, and we can start playing within less than 1 minute. That's very important. And log in within less than 1 minute. So if we can do so, that is where Metaverse will scale. That's to me, my point of view.
Chris.
I think it's very interesting. I would like to ask our audience, like, how many of you actually owns an NFT from a metaverse right now? Raise your hands. Maybe 5%. Have actually tried to show that NFT or any sort of NFT in your Facebook? Any hands? Maybe 1.
50.
So let's answer your openness and like public and everything. I mean, like it's not very widespread, like regarding the technology yet. So that's that. So it's a long way to go for Web3 and Metaverse experience actually to try to gain that openness and easy to use for everyone. But then at the same time, talking about securities, I will add on what CARNEY mentioned. What kind of security we are talking about here is actually it's a plus point as well as a negative point in my point of view. Is that actually Web3 and Metaverse, if you are a solution provider and you are a brand trying to adopt Web3 and Metaverse, Web3 and Metaverse actually one of the better way for you out there to collect data and behavior from the digital user compared to Web2. If you ask me, because right now the way that you go to banks, the way that you go to supermarket, the way that you transact and everything, yes, it's been captured here and there somewhere. But if it takes place on the metaverse dimension, Web3 dimension, everything are being recorded. So depends on how you structure your product and everything, you actually can gain a lot of insight from your user behavior. Or last year where we have a big GameFi trends, you can tell a lot about a GameFi user. Do they invest a lot? Do they bet a lot? Do they bite on my marketing campaign and everything? All of the data are being shown very clearly. So when the data are actually quite, like transparent and everything, it means that a lot of the privacy and the security may not up there. Like CARNEY mentions, right? It's a trade-off. It's a trade-off. If you want really high securities, it means that it will not be too open and it will not be so data-driven. So it's still a big question mark for the entire industry to answer. But sometimes you don't even have to answer actually, because you can ask Facebook, right? We keep talking about privacy, and you guys have to pay me for all of the data you've been used on my data and everything. And look at them, right? 20 years into the business, yeah, they still didn't give me any single dollars for everything. So yeah, it's just that.
Our last segment of the panel is about making money, about monetization. I have a good friend by the name of Brock Pierce. Many of you have heard the name. He coined what he calls the definition of a modern billionaire. And everybody here wants to drive a Lambo at some stage, or maybe some of you do. But the modern definition of a billionaire is somebody who creates a solution that actually helps 1 billion people. So the question is, where are those billion people? So we have 1 billion people in India, we have 1 billion people in Africa, 1 billion people in China, and 1 billion people in the region across Asia, so a total of 2 billion Muslims around the world. So between the making and monetization and making money, there's 2 elements that are important. One is the creators of the content, and the other one is the community itself. So how we tie the 2 things together to bring a proper monetization. So back to Anne, your thoughts on this topic.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, but from my perspective, I think a successful project or a protocol will make every stakeholder make money. And actually, I think they can. So I will still talk about Lifephone because I pay the money and I make money as well. So what they've done is that they run some marketing campaign, right? And where they allow the users to participate for the quiz. They call it quiz to earn, and they partner with Hooked Protocol. So in order to join that, and I needed to, for example, stake my avatar and pay, I can't remember how much dollar. If I win, and I will share the prize pool with the rest of the participants, but I actually only won 1 out of the 10 rounds. Still, the money and the prize I won can cover all my costs. So from this perspective, I think I won, right? But for creators, so they the creator will design some clothes for people to buy in order to make up their avatar more attractive. And of course, there will be some, for example, like share and share between the creators and the platforms themselves, right? So I think I pay for the clothes and for my avatar, and I also, I can sell my avatar and even the clothes back to, let's say, Sanjay if he wants. So what I want to say is so when we come to Metaverse or Web3 projects, and the entire business model actually will be changed from the original Web2, like the business models. And the monetization is dynamic, and because some people come in, some people go out. So if I look at it, I think there is no permanent, for example, winners or losers, but everyone just can make money, and that's my answer.
So basically, I think there's other technologies here that play an important role. One is the smart contracts, and the other one is DAOs, which is the decentralized autonomous organizations, which we're not covering here today. But back to Sanjay, your perspective on monetization.
Yeah, so I think the best to earn project is what I call work to earn. I mean, I see a lot of all the earn project. I think work to earn is the best at the moment in time. So from my perspective, right, joke aside, we're seeing a lot of things that we've seen before, right? A lot of things in this space has not been sustainable. To be very upfront and frank, right? You have all these crazy yield that happen in DeFi world, all this play to earn. When the new players stop coming in or new money stop coming in, the revenue starts to go down, and everything went down in spiral, right? Lesser demand. But I think in the crypto scene, right, a lot of things depend on the network effect and the trend as well, right? Catching on the project as well, and what the project are trying to achieve. Some projects are not even having a real revenue at the moment, right? But some actually do have a revenue, so we gotta separate those out. Some also depend on how the user or the customer or whoever buys it gives the value to it, right? For example, some NFT, people are asking, why is this ape worth X amount? Why is it NFT rock worth this amount, right? So sometimes very intangible. But sometimes I think like it's about creating a story, a concept, and the use case for the community as well in that part. I do agree though, like we'll see like quite a revolutionizing like a business model that will come out of this Web3 revolution, I'd probably say. I really don't know how to predict it will turn out, right? It can be like gaming is one sector, or it be like a TradFi, DeFi, or even be like a smart contract financial related. So I think there's still a lot of scope to be explored at this moment in time. Yeah.
CARNEY.
Okay, great. So for me, it's really different. Okay, I see it as with fear, with a lot of innovation disruption. Just imagine we have one of the best play-to-earn game, Infinity, with the biggest land in Decentraland. And suddenly, one of the days, I received a call from one of the biggest gaming company in China and say, "CARNEY, how much percentage of margins do I need to set aside to be play-to-earn?" Just imagine the likes of Sega, the likes of Diablo, GTA, take out 20% to do play-to-earn. And their product is all well finished, community is strong. After GTA 1, 2, 3, list go on, the community will buy in. So my pitch or my angle against to new projects or new metaverses is how are you going to face against them? What use case, what NFTs, and what community are you going to bring against these communities? When they are faster, they develop faster, they have legacy, and they have all fully built communities. How are you going to go against them? Because we are, like I say, right now we are less than $1 trillion market cap. But crypto economy is not about fighting within that $1 trillion market cap. It's about going outside of that. It's not about comparing layer 1 to layer 2 or a GameFi project to another GameFi project. It's about going there, who gets the most Web2 people into our ecosystem. And that is the very important part that I see in projects today. Okay, so that is more of the investment part. Monetization part will definitely change. When the Web2 companies they incentivize their users, the Web3 have to be more proactive to see, hey, what can I do more? Do I play to earn more? Do I give more community, more engagement, more on-site activities? These are all things that will change. Once the enterprise will go in, and that's not only in Metaverse GameFi. The enterprise blockchains are coming as well. So that's why I think the models of monetization will change. I hope definitely it's still a creator's economy because Web3 is basically the transfer of ownership and the change of ownership. So I really hope it's the creators that make money out of it or monetize out their gigs, their products, and more importantly, their experience out of it. So I hope it stays this way, but competition is getting there, strong, and I look forward to the change.
I like the comment that you made about, because CZ, which partially lives in Dubai now from time to time, mentions that only about 5% of the individuals have got wallets. So we should concentrate about not competing with each other, but getting more user adoption. So back to you, Chris.
I think to continue with that, I think I look at it from a slightly different perspective as well. For me, right now, Web3 and Metaverse are not a tool for monetize at the moment from my perspective, because it depends on your business. You look at some other value that equivalent to money, for example, like user acquisition. As long as I can get more user into my platform through my experience or through some of the digital merchandise or gifts that I gave out, get them more on my platform, then I can do more with it. One of a good example that one of the Metaverse project I have in Vietnam, super good in product design, really good graphic, and they already prepare for a business to commercialize advertising in the Metaverse space. So they have billboard in the Metaverse setup and everything. But my question for them is, do you have viewer, do you have user step into your Metaverse to actually to view those billboard? Because those statistics will be the one that you're showing to the, like the client that willing to pay for the billboard in the Metaverse, for example, because you have done everything excellently, like the product, the design, the graphic and everything, but no user stepping into the Metaverse, so what's the point, right? So depends on your solution. Users are super, super important, and if you can do this step one correctly, then perhaps you can monetize it in the later stage. And you look at a lot of successful Web2 business around you. this is their strategy as well, which is building the base of the user. For example, you look into Grab or any of the Web2 business. All they do is do a lot of promotion to acquire as many as possible users into the platform as possible. And then at the later stage, I start selling you what you need, and we're gonna charge you more because now you're already addicted to us, right? Then we charge you more. So you have to approach at the strategy like that as well, because without the user, there's no one to be charged. Focusing on some of the utilities and the value, whatever you do, like either it's gifts, either it's gaming experience and everything, bring the user into your platform, and at the moment you have all of these users there, then you can start have different creative ways to monetize them actually.
Yeah, I think it was an amazing panel. I think we're almost over, but I want to give maybe everyone one final word of wisdom as the gong is going to come. Any final word of wisdom to the audience?
I can't really say wisdom, but what I want to stress is still, and we bet, even from KuCoin Labs perspective, we bet on Metaverse. And also, if there are projects here who would like to seek incubation or investment, please also feel free to reach out to me. And yeah.
For me, I think the bear market is best time to build. So a lot of builders we've been speaking to are just on explore mode, execute, and experimental mode.
I think for me, I think this road is going to be tough. Went through a lot of bear, but we're still very new in it. The day that everyone's talking about it or enterprise is built on it, right? We're still very early. So let's keep on building, let's keep on advocating for it, and more importantly, right, just believe in that decentralized movement. I think this will do us very good.
Yes, I agree with Sanjay. This is a good time to build. So if you have a good project, come see me, and then we have a lot of support for you. And besides that, stay problem solving, right? Do not go over with the technical stuff. It's all about what you can solve. So forget about the technical, advanced. We don't need it too much at the moment, actually.
Yeah, I think here you should focus on functionality and usability. There's one formula that I've been promoting for quite some time around the Middle East for creating solutions and getting startups successful, and we call it MBC, like the TV station in Saudi Arabia, and stands for money, brains, and contacts. So if you want to build a successful startup, you need three key ingredients. One is money, which is investment, and we have quite a few of them here. The second one is brains, which is the smart guys that create the ideas that make your product, whether it's a game or another utility. But the last is probably the most important, which is the contacts, the business development, the community. And when you have these three elements together, magic happens by itself. Thank you very much. I thank especially my panels and I thank the audience for being with us here today. And it's a pleasure to be here.